I am very proud of the opportunity given to me to open this documentary film dedicated to the history of establishment of the annual International Literary Award, Truth About the Holocaust and Stalinist Repression. My name is Natasha Prakhin. I am the fourth generation of the family who established ILF, and I often ask myself, how do I deserve such trust of my family? And the answer is, because I value my family and our family's history. My grandmother explained our family's tragic history, subjected to the repression during Stalin's regime.
After Natasha's emotional words that came from depths of her young heart, I have finally understood how correctly and during time my children, grandchildren, relatives and friends have supported my initiatives. They are fully and directly involved and are actively participating in the establishment of the annual literary award, The Truth About the Holocaust and Stalinist Repression. How was the idea of the award born? Many years I bore idea of how to honor memory of my parents, relatives, and millions of Jewish people which perished from the hand of the two most awful executions of 20th century, Stalin and Hitler.
There is posthumous verdict reversal documents of my grandfather and his family. Many are probably wondering, where is the connection between Holocaust and Stalin repressions? Why does the award unite both huge themes? The answer is simple. Because for Jewish people, the Holocaust and Stalinist repression went side by side. Those who had managed to avoid Stalinist repressions were cremated, and those who had survived in the concentration camps were let rot in torture chambers of Gulag. What a vicious circle.
My name is David Marwell, and I'm the director of the Museum of Jewish Heritage, a living memorial to the Holocaust. And I want to welcome you all this evening. I think it was a wonderful decision by the Prakhin International Literary Foundation to hold their first award ceremony here at the museum, because in many ways the foundation's mission connects with our mission in a significant way. The museum, our museum, is all about teaching the Holocaust and its important lessons. And if you visit this museum and go through our core exhibition, you will learn not only about the 12 years of suffering and persecution, but also about the remarkably broad and vibrant world before the Holocaust. And then following the Nazi onslaught against the Jews, you will learn about the remarkable story of rebuilding of life and community. So we believe that to teach the Holocaust properly, we must place it in the context of life before and life after. And we believe that any effort to focus the attention of the world on the events of the Holocaust is meaningful, and so we applaud the Prakhin Foundation for its efforts in this regard.
I am very pleased that many organizations and foundations and all those people who are not indifferent to the fate of Jewish people took an interest in our literary award. And today, on January 27, the Holocaust Remembrance Day, we are together presenting our annual International Literary Award, The Truth About the Holocaust and Stalinist Repression.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to again welcome everybody to our 13th annual event. It's a pleasure for me to host it and to work with this amazing young lady, Mila, or Ludmila as we call her. She's tireless, and she makes me feel like I'm not doing anything enough because she's always running around and makes me look older that way. So we want to start this by inviting somebody who's very important in my life, a very renowned rabbi, He happens to be the Executive Director of Bristol Brown Congregation of Hillside, New Jersey. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Reverend Mordecai Kanelsky.
I think it's a very important moment to get together here and to commemorate the Holocaust and to commemorate what happened 75 years ago, that Auschwitz was liberated. I think it's not just a moment to remember for the people that are in the elder generation who are Holocaust survivors or children of Holocaust survivors, but I think with today's society that we live in, and especially here in the state of New Jersey, where we witnesses the tragedy that happened a month ago in Jersey City and what's going on in any other place, it's a moment for us to remember, to teach, and not to forget. The harsh thing that happened 75 years ago is not something that happened just. They were educated. They were educated people. But with that in mind, they killed 1/3 of our nation. And we will never forget that, and we will never forgive that. And our job today is to give over to the young generation that they should remember that nobody else should come and be a denial of the Holocaust. But most importantly, we have to learn ourselves how to live in a society to respect one to another. Maybe we have different opinions, but what unites us is much more than what divides us. Number one, we are all human beings. We were all created by God. God loves each one of us. Number two, we are created to contribute to this world, to make this world a better world, to make this world better than before we came here to this world. The number one thing I would like to say, a memorial prayer for the people that perished, and God should revenge their blood. And at the same token, their soul should have an elevation, and they should ask and pray for all human beings around the world, that should be peace in the whole world. The second thing is, we should all have respect one to another. When I'm coming into a society, we all look different. We all have 5 fingers. Not one finger is the same as the second one. Our job is to unite us all together. And therefore I want to say thank you to you, Ludmila, for uniting us. You are doing a wonderful job. You are coming to my office many times, and the whole purpose of your meeting is how we could unite everybody. You did it again. On behalf of everybody here, I want to wish you many healthy years, joy, happiness, and prosperity. Have everybody a wonderful evening, and let's make sure that next year we will celebrate here how our society became a better one, an educated one, and a good one. Thank you very much.
I have a couple of citations, and one is for the Prakhin International Literary Foundation. I should really tell you that I'm Assemblywoman Lisa Swain from District 38. I represent 13 towns, including Paramus. So this one, by the citizenry of the 38th New Jersey Legislative District, through their elected representatives, for promoting literacy in the community and contributing to the struggle for peace and democracy and against anti-Semitism, all forms of repression and the degradation of humanity. So, would you like to accept this?
Ladies and gentlemen, right now I have somebody very important that we are going to be honoring today. We honor the Holocaust survivor, Miss Fran Malkin, who came to our event. Ms. Malkin, I had the pleasure of speaking with her for a few minutes. She's just an amazing woman. I'd like to invite her over here to say a few words. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big hand to our Holocaust survivor.
Thank you. I'm trying to think where to start. This is a new group, and I've been working with, another Russian group, Ego Kotler, who maybe still hear the radio. And I think that's an important story that hasn't been told about the Holocaust in Russia. I'll give you a brief outline of my story. I was born in a town called Sokal. It was in Poland when I was born there, right before the war. Today it's the Ukraine. It's near Lvov, which I'm sure many of you know where that is. I was 2 years old when the Germans came into Sokal, and the first thing they did is they had all the able-bodied men, Jewish men, and they said they took them out to work. They said, we're going to take them to work. And I was 2 years old, and my mother told me my father picked me up, hugged me, kissed me, cried, and went out. And they selected 400 Jewish men, and they said they were taking them to work. And 2 years later, we found out that they were taken to an old brick factory on the outskirts of Sokal, and made them dig their own graves and shot them. So I don't remember my father.
Hi, my name is Lauren Walls, and I teach the Holocaust and Genocide Studies class at Summit High School. And this year, for the first time ever in the state of New Jersey, the Jewish Federation of Greater Metro West, headed by Elise Shane Brown and Jamie Karras, did the Adopt a Survivor program that they had in place for bar and bat mitzvah recipients, and my entire class adopted Ms. Fran Malkin. And yeah. Would you like to hold it? Perfect. So what we did was over 4 times, or 4 weeks, I think. Over the course of a quarter, Fran came in to speak to my students 4 times. She came with us to a synagogue, and she also just shared parts of her story. She answered any and all of their questions, and it was amazing because my students actually got to hear a Holocaust survivor speak, and all of them have never, I think all but 2, have never heard a Holocaust survivor speak before, so it really was an amazing experience. So part of what we had to do was to share Fran's story somehow, some way. And I'm sorry, but I set my expectations kind of low because they're teenagers. And so I was like, okay, they're going to do a poster or a project or something. What they decided to do was paint Fran a mural that is now permanently hung up in our school, which it was totally their idea, not taking any credit for it. But before this, we did the I Never Saw Another Butterfly project, in which I put out all of the sources from the kids of Terezin, and they had to trace themes and make their own butterfly to tell kids stories. So what they decided to do was paint Fran, each kid painted Fran a butterfly. So like her story lives on, and we're carrying it, and then all across the mural are words from her diary. So it's hung up in our school permanently in our history wing, which I'm very, very proud of. And I couldn't do it without the support of the Jewish Federation of Greater Metro West and Fran. And I mean, she's one, but they are amazing human beings, and I couldn't really do it without them. So thank you.
much, and that was a beautiful performance. Thank you. Thanks for having me here tonight, and to the Foundation for all that you do to promote peace and democracy, and for highlighting the fight against all forms of repression. Thank you to the students who participated in this worthy cause, and congratulations to all of the winners. As an elected official in an incredibly diverse town like Fairlawn, I feel an obligation very similar to the obligation I feel in my other role as a high school history teacher, and that's to inspire others to remember, to learn, and share in the triumphs, and sometimes more importantly, the tragedies of our collective history. In a world where it's so easy to share misinformation, it's more important than ever to have programs like this one that not only call attention to the horrors like the Holocaust or Stalinist repression and the many genocides that have occurred across our globe, but that it will also inspire all of us to step up, to speak up, and to take action. That it will inspire us to celebrate our differences rather than let them divide us. It's crucial that we embrace our differences and take action now more than ever, because we're seeing a resurgence of the same hate and darkness that occurred in the past. The motives behind tragedies like the shooting at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh or the shooting at the church in Charleston are all too similar to the motives of those who let hate or complacency consume them in Nazi Germany. So I applaud and thank this foundation and all the students for joining together in remembering and honoring the past. Because when we remember, and more importantly, when we act, we are ensuring a brighter future for everyone. So thank you again for giving me this opportunity, and thank you for everything that you do.
My name is Brenner, and I'm currently a senior at Fairlawn High School. Thank you so much for coming here today to understand the value of learning about history, specifically the Holocaust and genocide overall. Being a young adult, it's hard to put into perspective what will be useful in my life, but I would definitely say that this topic of conversation is. The Holocaust occurred over 75 years ago, but it's still relevant today and teaches many valuable lessons. Education about the Holocaust provides a starting point to examine warning signs that can indicate the potential for mass atrocity. It illustrates the dangers of prejudice, discrimination, anti-Semitism, and dehumanization. It's essential for people to learn at a young age to prevent such a horrid event from occurring in the future. Having family taken and killed during the Holocaust, I think it's also important to know what our ancestors endured and heavily struggled with. I feel that knowing such things brings us closer to our roots. It's very hard to grasp the concept of how people can do such things to their own kind. But the Holocaust teaches us to be aware of the capabilities of humanity. The Holocaust teaches us not to be silent, but to be heard, and to stand up for others and respect one another. By studying the richness of Jewish life before and during the Holocaust, by giving the victims spaces, by turning history into stories, and by focusing on the everyday life of Jews in Europe, we can teach our hearts and souls. We can make sure that the memory of what happened is not neglected by history books, but stands in a place of honor as one of the pillars of our Jewish identity and Jewish activism. Thank you.
Yes, go. Remy Lerner is going to go ahead and recite a poem. It's called Never Forget, Always Remember, that was written by Prakhin.
Hi. People of the world, rise up for a minute and awaken yourselves and ask yourselves, have I done everything I could for my children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren that they never forget and always remember? Thank you.
I would like to ask everybody, when you got in here, they gave you a candle. Please light your candle and stand out for a moment, please. And if the operator can turn off the lights for us here, we're going to ask for a moment of silence. And we turn off all the lights somehow? Thank you. Thank you very much. Please be seated. And thank you to all of our supporters and educators and survivors.
Youth throughout the world likes to make jokes using popular symbols of the past. While the Nazi swastika is considered to be a bad joke, Soviet symbols are not. Communism, after all, was not Nazism. It was about equality and harmony. There was nothing wrong with the idea itself. Well, actually, there was. There was something which made it different from the other utopias. Lenin believed in what he called the war of classes, which meant that the ultimate harmony can only be reached after certain groups of people are killed.
Initially, when communists come to power, and that doesn't matter where, let it be in Russia, in Poland, in Cuba, in Nicaragua, it doesn't matter. in China. Initially, they destroy about 10% of population, and that's very specific. This is used not just to kill enemies, they're not enemies, it's to restructure the fabric of society. It's a social engineering. Top intellectuals, best workers, best engineers, they would kill them all. And then they will try to restructure the new society. People keep forgetting that Nazi regime in Germany was also socialist. It was, they officially were called National Socialist Workers' Party. So it's a branch of socialism. The Soviets were international socialists, and those were, in Germany, national socialists. So it's the same thing in reality, only slightly different interpretation.
On September the 11th, 1932, Stalin wrote to his associate, Kaganovich, "The situation in Ukraine is very bad. If we don't take steps now, we may lose Ukraine." Several meetings of Stalin's inner circle resulted in a plan of action.
Bergen was created so that nobody could leave.
Initially, people didn't die. Leftover supplies of grain and vegetables kept them alive. But this was not part of Stalin's plan. Away their gold, melt it down, and deposit the bars in Swiss banks. We don't know what communists did with the gold confiscated from these people, and was there any gold? What we do know is what communists did with the grain taken from them. It was exported to the West. Millions upon millions of tons. Despite the famine, the export of Ukrainian grain was increased to the maximum level. The Western media reported both on the scale and character of the famine genocide. Ukrainians were being exterminated in front of the whole world to death in the space of 1 year. Mankind has never seen a more efficient extermination program than the one in Ukraine during the winter of 1932 and 33.
First of all, it's a great honor to be here with you this evening, and it's pretty tough following up on these speakers and artists. I grew up in Washington Heights, and Washington Heights, for those of you who don't know, was completely composed of German Jewish exiles from the Nazis. It took up literally an entire neighborhood. I can't think of one person among my family's friends who didn't lose someone in the Holocaust. And so I was, it's something I've reflected on often, and there are a few thoughts that come to mind. And I'll try and tell you the way I made sense of it. My favorite philosopher, Immanuel Kant, said philosophy comes down to four things. What can I know? what should I do, what can I hope, and what is a mensch, And when we think of the terrible events of the 30s, no one can know what Fran knows. And I think it's foolish to try. What one can know, or what one can learn, is how Hitler came to power, how the Nazis took power, not simply talking about the hate. Personally, I can't stand the hate anymore. I want to know how this happened there and why. It's an obligation to find out how the camps operated, not simply how many people were killed in them. It's an obligation, if you want, to figure out what you can know. How did the ovens work? How did the trains run? You all know Adolf Eichmann. All the man did was work on the trains. Yet he was crucial to the murder of millions of people. If one can't figure that out and learn that, one knows nothing about the Holocaust. So, what should one do? I think what one should do, or at least this is what I've tried to do, is join an organization to perpetuate the memory, because you can't do it alone. It's that simple. Talk is cheap when it comes to remembering the Holocaust. What do you do? It's the same thing students ask me, what should I do? I'll tell you what to do. Join an organization that fits with your convictions. I'm not going to tell you which one, but you know. For what can I hope? Well, in a certain way, what I can hope for is, in a way, what I see in front of me. Because what's very nice about this meeting is its intergenerational character. And the way young people have sort of listened and how good they've been is really a terrific thing. If you like, for what can I hope? I can hope for peace. I can hope that this never occurs again. But in order to figure out how it will never occur again, you have to figure out what you know and what you should do.
We are honored to be here tonight for the Prakhin Foundation. We will read poetry and prose from the children of Terezan. I chose to focus on Terezan today because of the art that was produced and that survived, giving us a glimpse into life in this extraordinary, terrifying place. There was resistance through the spirit, resistance through art, and resistance through story. There was beauty in the words, in the drawings, in the humanity we can witness today. Terezan was a transit camp in Czechoslovakia near Prague, a former palace. Every day there were transports east to Auschwitz, to other extermination camps. Of the approximately 144,000 Jews sent to Terezan, almost 1 in 4 died there. About 88,000 were deported to Auschwitz and other final camps. Terezan was used to fool the Red Cross about the true nature of the German killing enterprise, and art was allowed to a point. The prisoners of Terezan, adults and children, made art. Operas, plays, drawings, paintings, poetry, prose, diaries, to keep their spirits up, to escape what was unescapable for a moment, and to leave a record. I visited Terezan once. I was horrified and drawn in. The art was beautiful, evidence of real talent, real dreams, real hopes, real lives, real people, not numbers. and real children who should have lived. I wanted to know more. Of the 15,000 children from Terezin who were shipped to Auschwitz in 1944, only 100 survived. 15,000 children, 100 survived. No child under 14 survived. The writers of the poems you will hear, with the exception of one, did not survive. So we will read these poems and show the art, and we will end with a song that you all know. The first poem is one of the most famous, and I will read that one. The Butterfly. The last, the very last, so richly, brightly, dazzlingly yellow. Perhaps that the sun's tears would sing against a white stone. Such a yellow, it carried lightly way up high. It went away, I'm sure, because it wanted to wish to kiss the world goodbye. For 7 weeks I've lived in here, penned up inside the ghetto, but I have found what I love here. The dandelions called to me, and the white chestnut branches in the court. Only I never saw another butterfly. The butterfly was the last one. Butterflies don't live here in the ghetto. That was written by Pavel Friedman, who died in Auschwitz in 1944. Maxime will read the next poem. And tell us the title, please.
Terrorism. When a new child comes, everything seems strange there. What? On the ground? I have to lie? Eat like potatoes? No, not I. I've got to stay. It's dirty here. The floor of my look, it's dirt I fear, and I'm supposed to sleep on it. Oh, get all dirty. Hear the sound of shouting and cries, and also many flies. Everyone knows flies carry diseases. Here in Terezin, life is hell, and when I'll go home again, I can't yet tell. Thank you.
Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one.
Hi, good evening. I'm very honored to be here tonight. About 6 years ago, I became the supervisor of social studies for Fairlawn, and that's when Ludmilla and I met and began working together, and it's been wonderful. Part of what I wanted to talk a little bit about tonight was how our students today, although we don't always see it, how they really do remember and they really do embody that idea that we must remember the past in order to learn from it and do good and pass on to others today. But we saw that tonight with all the amazing performances from all of the students here. So I'd like to give all of them again a round of applause. Every year we have at the high school a Holocaust and Genocide class, and every year dozens of students sign up for that class and they participate in this award. And it's amazing the thoughtful, well-researched work that they submit to this foundation. So again, I would like to thank all of you for coming tonight, and also it was such an amazing job by all of our students and young people here today. And again, as I said, I challenge you to seek out the positive, because that's how we will learn, and that's how we will continue to spread love and not hate. And I'd also like to thank Ludmilla and her foundation for the wonderful work that she does, and as Mr. Lerner said, she is tireless, and it is amazing. We can all learn something from her and her positivity. Thank you all.
This year, we've been fortunate enough to receive an amazing 57 submissions from several New Jersey schools. Teachers and students have studied the very serious issue of truth about the Holocaust and Stalinist repression and produced outstanding art, prose, and poetry. We appreciate so much all of you who submitted your creative work, and we'll send everybody a certificate directly to the school. Not everybody can make it, but we will definitely send a certificate. We are grateful to all the teachers for all their educational efforts. Like previous years, we're going to give opportunity to one or two of the winners to go ahead and read their the work. The other ones they'll show as art. To present the award and proclamation letters from the New Jersey Assembly, we welcome the president of the Prakhin Foundation, Prakhin. Please show that piece. It's pretty amazing. Can everybody see that?
Sorry, Rabbi. Okay. The Holocaust. 6 million Jewish men, women, and children. 10 million Soviet civilians and prisoners of war. 1.8 million non-Jewish Polish citizens. 1 million Serb civilians, those with disabilities, gypsies, Jehovah's Witnesses, German political opponents, homosexuals. Persecuted and murdered. Perceived racial and biological inferiority led to the death of millions of innocent individuals, the death of millions of innocent children, ones who never got to fulfill their dreams, the death of millions of hopeful mothers and fathers, ones who never got to witness their children fulfilling their dreams. Orchestrated by Adolf Hitler, the Nazis killed these innocent civilians one by one, fueled by hate, eventually getting nowhere. Call the Holocaust, call the Shoah. May their souls rest in peace. Thank you.
We don't need to go far. Just look at what is happening right here in the United States of America, with renewed racial tensions, deep divides within society, and of course, the rise of anti-Semitism again. An increase of over 150%, as reported by ADL, in the past 2 years, including violent crime, murder, attacks on synagogues. Attacks on black churches is the same thing. Many have noticed that anti-Semitism is almost a meter to indicate that society is not doing well. That is the reason that we are doing what we do here tonight and why this makes it so important. I do want to thank the Prakhin Foundation and everybody who is here, because I know we are part of this important work. While America took a few steps back, a small European country, Latvia, has made significant progress by promoting research of the past, commemoration of Holocaust, and providing education on tolerance. Tonight we have two guests from Latvia whose work is an important part of this progress. I have a pleasure to present Maruta Plivda, a mayor of the city of Prakhin, who is a great supporter of the Holocaust Memorial in Prakhin. Throughout her leadership and personal involvement, many great things have been accomplished, and many new projects are underway, which have important impact on the city and the local community. The other guest is Lolita Tomsene, a director of Jānis Lipke Museum in Riga, Latvia. Lipke is a national hero who during World War II saved more than 50 Jewish people in Riga. He received the title of the Righteous of the World from Yad Vashem in Jerusalem, and a tree was planted there in his name. His museum is a center for promotion of tolerance and world peace throughout its numerous exhibitions and activities. Please welcome Maruta Plivda and Lolita Thompson. Thank you.
Good evening tonight. It's a really great honor to be here.
We came a long way. We're a bit jet-lagged, but it's absolutely worth it. To hear amazing stories of education that's happening here, to hear a person that survived in the Holocaust to give testimony and working with other people, it's something to remember from this visit. One important thing that is happening tonight is that David Silberman, who is sitting there, and he got the award from the Latvian state, the highest honor. What we want to say is he was the one that during the Soviet occupation in Latvia was courageous enough to walk around, talk to people who survived in the Holocaust, and record their stories. Thanks to David Silberman, in Latvia we now have books that testify about the woman that was one of the almost only 2 women survived in Rumbula massacre. She gave her testimony. Everything we know about the Jewish rescue in Latvia, many of these stories were supported by him and self-published in Soviet times. So just as a sign of honor, I'm bringing from Jonas Lipka Memorial that's dedicated to rescuers of Jews who were courageous, who were brave, who were actually risking their lives to rescue their fellow man. And I would love to give to David Silberman, if he would come here, what we call in Latvia the silver log. You know, we say the one log doesn't burn. It means that you need lots of people, lots of effort to remember about the Holocaust, the people who survived, and also about the Jewish rescue. So thank you, David.
One father took care of me, 2 friends that lived next to me, 3 people that lived with my grandfather, 4 memories held and sick, 5 people that lost hope in God, all of them ash in the sky filled the air of smoke.
We have also one more nominee here. Beautiful young lady named Sarah Silverman. Please give it up.
Things aren't always what they seem. Listening to the final scream. With every breath, there is a sense of death. It seems to have been a while since I have seen a happy smile. When I reminisce about the past, I wonder why it didn't last. Vulnerable and lonely, no place to go. We sat here waiting, watching the first snow. Then comes the first attack, waiting to get us as we turn our back. They strip us and shave us, cutting our hair. We seem to be in the middle of nowhere. They lead us to a small little bed, which we had to share with little to no bread. Freezing, tired, dehydrated, and cold, we watch anxiously as someone becomes bold. They run across and touch the wall. Gunshots fire, and now they fall. I see skin and bones rotting away. I think of the people, still at home they stay. How can they let this perpetuate? It's gone on, and now it's too late. I wake up in the morning and look at the sky, and I ask myself, why, God, why? Then a man comes and stretches out his hand, and I feel myself shaking like a fish out on land. You're free, he says, with a smile on his face, and I can feel my heart begin to race. This is it, what I've been waiting for. I can barely get up before I run out the door. I'm free, I yell, filled to the brim, with happiness just starting to begin. When I start to feel, it's pulling like a rope, and then I realize it's all of my hope. Singing, jumping, dancing for joy, and then I begin to think and toy. As the sun shines with its bright beams, things aren't always what they seem.
I'm Sammy. When I was a year and a half, my family was forced into a labor camp. As a child, I was subjected to Nazi medical experimentation. I almost died of starvation. but a German woman saved my life. While I do not know what tomorrow will bring, I do know this. Almost half of the world population does not know that the Holocaust occurred. It did. About 1/3 believe that the Holocaust is a myth or exaggerated. It isn't. And young people are far less aware of the Holocaust. It is heartbreaking. Yet now, you have the power to share the truth easily. So today, I ask you, please help others learn the truth. Take your picture holding a sign that says, "We remember." Share it with everyone you know on social media. Join the global campaign for the International Holocaust Remembrance Day. Make sure that the horrors of the Holocaust are known and never forgotten.
Сегодня уже можно говорить, подводить итоги последнего мероприятия. Правда, о Холокосте и сталинских репрессиях, которая прошла 29 января в Bergen Community College. А каждый раз после ивента я думаю о том, насколько своевременно и важно мы подняли эту тему, правда, о сталинских репрессиях и гитлеровском геноциде, о Холокосте. И я сама, не зная даже этого, я пережила сталинские репрессии вот на себе. Потому как я родилась в поле, где-то в Казахстане, и я очень много лет не знала о том, что я из семьи репрессированных родителей. Что за 10 дней до войны моего отца увезли из Румынии в Сибирь, где его убили, а маму с моими сестрами и со мной, которая еще не родилась, вывезли в Казахстан. И так началась история моей жизни. Моя мама тщательно скрывала от нас, и моя бабушка, дедушка никогда не рассказывали о том, кто мы такие. И я никогда не могла понять, почему мы так часто переезжали. И почему моя мама меня каждый раз отправляла жить к бабушке с дедушкой и многие другие моменты. И вот когда проходит это мероприятие, я вижу студентов, которые пишут такие интересные сочинения на эту тему. Я опять вспоминаю все свое детство, всю свою юность, которую я провела, тяжелые годы, потому как мы жили когда на Урале и возвращались из сталинских застенков. Люди, которые пережили эти лагеря, и когда мы жили в Кишиневе, возвращались худые, измощенные люди из сталинских лагерей. Но я никогда не знала, что это касалось и моей семьи тоже. И только, будучи совершенно взрослой, мне мой дедушка перед отъездом в Израиль рассказал и показал дом, в котором мы жили в Кишиневе, и с которого нас репрессировали и увезли в скотских вагонах неизвестно куда. И вы знаете, у меня сразу поднимается такое чувство, нет, об этом должны знать и передавать поколение в поколение, о том, что мы, наше поколение тоже не молодое поколение тоже ни от чего не застраховано. И надо помнить о том, что пережили люди, которые были в концентрационных лагерях при Гитлере, и также пережившие те же концентрационные лагеря сталинских застенках.